Hi everyone, welcome to Tigner Adventures. My name is David and today we're going to be talking about power. We all need it for our rigs, and unfortunately the places that we plug into don't always accommodate us very nicely, I should say. It's kind of interesting, it doesn't matter which RV park you go to. You can go to the classiest RV park you can find or the dumpiest RV park you can find, and you'll find issues with power. So it seems to be an ongoing issue, and one of the other issues that parks themselves cannot necessarily accommodate is how many people are turning their AC units on at the same time and things like that. The farther your run is to plug into a pedestal, or the runs between pedestals and things, depending on the size of wire they're using, the voltage that you're getting across those lines can differ quite a bit, especially if everybody turns their appliances on at the same time. We had an issue about 3 years ago now where we burned up our microwave because the resort that we were staying in at the time, the pedestal was having issues, and we actually only had 100 volts of power on that pedestal with nothing else running. So as soon as I turned the microwave on, it dropped even further and it burned up the microwave. That is kind of common. In fact, the resort that we're staying in right now makes you sign a paper that says they're not responsible for your power issues. So, and a lot of resorts are starting to do that, and because, they can't really control everything. But right after that issue, we went out and bought ourselves a WatchDog, and it was for our 30 amp RV. And now I'm standing next to our new RV that's a 50 amp. And we bought that WatchDog because it had some cool features. And if you look here, you can see the video that I did talking about the accommodations that actually has for us and how that has saved us now, because we don't want to have to keep replacing microwaves. So when I got this unit, this now is a 50 amp rig, and so it takes 4 plug pieces on here to plug into a pedestal or whatever. So my little 30 amp one will not accommodate this rig, and so because of that, I contacted WatchDog and talked to them about checking out a 50 amp version of this WatchDog. And so they have sent me this package here and said that they've got a lot of cool things in this version of the WatchDog. And so we're going to check that out and show you what it looks like. So this is the product that we're going to be reviewing today. And the things I like about it is this Bluetooth option, so you can see what's going on within the unit itself, on top of all the other things, because it's recording all this. It keeps track of how much power you're using and things like that. So if I'm plugging into a place that charges me for power, I can reset my usage to 0, and I can kind of watch that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open the box, but this is the what it looks like before we actually open it. And so if we go ahead and open these little side panels, this is the WatchDog right there. So, oh wow, that's pretty nice. I guess if we had a dog, Tansy probably won't do a lot with this, but if you have a dog, then there you go. So, oh, and they also send you a hat. Wow, this is pretty cool. So, nice little hat and little dog bone for your dog. They're really looking out for you. So, all right, so here is the unit. So, pretty nice. It's a little different than my other unit, and so this will be kind of fun to see how this works. So we'll go through and show you all the different pieces, but that's what's in there right now. And I think one of the key things I see that's different here is that your plug is inside here. So now it's not hanging down like my other one was. They send you a pin, so this is a little level. So well, that's kind of interesting. You know what? I'm gonna have to put my glasses on because I can't even read this little stuff. So, but anyway, let's see what this. This is got a tape measure based on it here. It's got a. Yep, it's a regular pin. Oh yeah, nice pin. It's got a tape measure on it and a level on it. So that's pretty cool. All in one little utility piece right there, and of course a keychain here that says WatchDog on it. So that's what's inside there, and along with our different instruction sheets and little covers. When the power goes on, one of the cool things is if the power is good, then this will go bright white, letting you know that it's good. And if the power is not good, then it goes red. And you know, one of the issues they've had complaints is that, you know, that is, you know, all lit up really bright and everything. So now they've got options where you can put little stickers over it and everything, cover it up if you don't want to have that light on and everything. I just lock it up because if you look right here, it's got this nice heavy duty lock on there, so I just always lock mine, and I always have an idea of visual just looking out to see how my power is doing. I don't have to worry about it. So they've got a number of different products, and this kind of talks about those. And then an actual installation manual here talks about all the different things that you should be aware of with the actual WatchDog. Now, before I go to the next step, I do want to tell you that I have had, with my WatchDog, I have had it trigger and go red. That's why I know it does that. And I have had that happen. And it goes red and then gives you a little code down here. And in my particular case, it was kind of interesting. We were up in Massachusetts this last summer. You know, when I checked the, when I plugged this in and everything, it does its little test, and then it clicked on and said everything's good. And so then I went and turned on my charger to charge up my lithium batteries, and it went to red. And it's like, what is going on? And so then I looked and it says low voltage. So then I started digging into the pole a little bit more, and the pole was putting out 110 volts, but as soon as you put any pressure on it, it dropped down to 100 volts. And so what it was, as I started, you know, doing a little bit of investigative work there, I was looking at it, and I noticed there was a yellow wire coming out of the back of the pedestal, which is, if anybody knows electrical wiring, you know, at least in the US, yellow is 12-2 with ground wire. And all they had going from that pedestal to the next pedestal, so I think they were just pulling it off of that pedestal, was just 12-2 with ground wire running from that pedestal to this pedestal. And they were saying that'll give you 30 amp service. Well, first of all, 12 gauge isn't even strong enough for 30 amp. And then the other issue is that because it's a longer distance, the farther you go, the more the copper creates resistance. And so the voltage slowly keeps dropping down. And so that's why, you know, when you see these big heavy wires like this on your motorhome, or, you know, when they're running them from post to post, they're usually running at least a minimum of a 6 gauge wire, which is pretty thick. And if they're running between, you know, in an actual park, they should be running really heavy wire, like what we run for our batteries. We use a 4/0 wire. They should be running something like that to make sure those all stay up to standards, but not everybody does that. So, I mean, they were really nice about it. I went and talked to them and said, hey, this is what's happening. They said, oh, sorry about that. Here, we'll move you to another site. Well, that's nice. That's nice that they did that. However, the guy that moved in next to us, I had to go tell him, because he didn't have a system, I had to go tell him, hey, be really careful if you're using this power, because you don't have the full power. In his case, he was in a little tent trailer, and he says, I don't really care. I'm just going to be running a cooker or something like that. So he didn't really care as much. But, you know, when you're in a motor home and you have lots of expensive stuff, it really does make a difference as how to, you know, how good of power that you actually have. So that's why I was excited when they agreed to send me one of these to evaluate. So we're going to check this all out. I have nothing but praise to say for their other unit. Their 30 amp unit is just actually excellent. And he says I'll be excited on some of the improvements they've put in this one. So the first one I can see is this little setup right here. I love that. So that is really nice because you can you know, keep this out of the weather. It's got a little cap here you can put over the actual piece there. And as soon as I figured out how to open it here, oh, there we go. So if that's open up there like that, this cap can cover up this plug if I'm not using it, but that's where my 50 amp plug is going to plug right into there. So that's pretty cool, and it's all covered, and I'm just going to put that down, and that keeps it all out of the weather. So that is really cool, let alone all these other features that's on there. It does have some information on the back here, but the thing that you want to pay attention to is on the front here. We do have a little LED readout here, and when we plug this in, it will go white. That'll tell us that everything checks out. Okay, now if there's a problem and it doesn't, then this LED will come up with a number, and on the side of the surge protector is a code, tells you all the different codes that it can come up with and things of what's going on. So that's pretty cool. It's just all right there. It's not like I got to carry an extra book around with me or anything like that. I bought our first one. This one is they've sent it to me to evaluate, so that's nice, but I believe in it enough that I actually bought the very first one, and I've loved it, and we've used it all the time now because I trust it. I don't have to worry about it. So anyway, all that mumble bumble, let's get going. Let's go ahead and plug this in, and I'll show you how it actually works. All right, so we are here at the pedestal, and this particular pedestal has 50 amp, 30 amp. Even if you use a dog bone, 30 amp dog bone, and plug this into the WatchDog to make, you know, for the 50 amp, the WatchDog works the same way no matter what, so don't worry about that. The important thing is you want to make sure the power is turned off before you actually plug your unit in. So power is off. I'm going to plug my unit in to the 50 amp here, and now I'm ready to turn it on. So when I turn it on, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to go through and do its little checks, and if everything is okay, then it's going to come on, and you'll hear it click, and this will turn white. Probably won't be able to see it because it's so bright out here, but if it doesn't check out correctly and we get an error, it would turn red, and then we'd have that little error code that I was talking about just a little bit ago. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, and then we can listen. So everything checked out on here okay, and it liked it, and so it's turned the power on, so now I have power to my rig. So the other thing I wanted to point out here is this little piece that they have on here. These are kind of expensive, and you don't want to just leave them laying around for someone to pick up and take off. So it's nice that they do have a place here that you can plug or lock it up, and what I do is I lock it to something. In this case, I'm locked around this tree behind me, but I have a cable that just goes through here, and yeah, you know, if someone really wants it, they'll just come in here with some bolt cutters and cut it and whatever, but hey, it makes it a little bit harder for them to get at least the honest person to take it. So anyway, that's pretty good. So now let's look at the actual app and see all the things that you can actually see with inside, because if you look here, let's see if I kind of shade that a little bit. I think you might be able to see it, but it's got Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. I've got it set up for Wi-Fi. You set it up for one or the other. In this case, Wi-Fi is going to work better for me. So let's look at it and see what it does, because the Wi-Fi, the cool thing about Wi-Fi is I can look at this from anywhere as long as I have Wi-Fi connectivity. And I can turn it on and off from anywhere as long as I have Wi-Fi connectivity. So let's check it out. I'm in the comfort of my motorhome, and I'm going to manage my Power WatchDog. So if you look here on the screen, there's an icon here that's kind of blue that says Power WatchDog, and if I select that, it will load up the actual app. And here I've already set up the Wi-Fi on it. You have to choose Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I chose Wi-Fi, so I've got that all set up, and if I select it, it will automatically open up to my screen. Now, one thing that to make a note here is that different versions of this have different apps, and so my old one uses a different app than this new one, so you might have to download the new app. But anyway, here we go. So you'll notice that since I plugged it in, we've used 0.1 kilowatt hours. I can reset that anytime I want when I go to different places and I want to start back at 0. If I go ahead and push on the energy reset in the top right corner there, then I can reset that back to 0. So that's kind of a nice setup. Now, line 1 and line 2, because I'm a 50 amp unit, I have 2 lines. Remember I said there was 4 connections on there on the actual power plug, and so there's 2 of those that are hot. So there's 110 volts on each side, basically, as far as the US power grid goes. So line 1, in this case, we're showing has 125 volts, and line 2 has 121 volts. So there is a little difference there. And the biggest difference probably is that if you notice, line 1 is using 0.6 amps of power right now, while line 2 is using 14 amps of power, which is my AC unit is currently running. And so I was mentioning that it when you put a load on there, that the voltage can drop, and that's what's happening here. So the voltage is just a little bit lower, and the important thing is that if it gets below 110 volts, then the Power Watchdog will just shut the whole line down. But right now we're good. And the other thing to kind of keep track of is the frequency. We use, in the US, we use 60 Hertz as our primary frequency, and so that needs to be in that range for it to work. And if that's not, then things don't like to run in the US on things that are not 60 Hertz. So that's why we keep track of that there too. And at the very bottom of the screen, we show how many watts we're actually using. So line 1 is using 22 watts, and the line 2 is using 1.6 kilowatts. So a little bit of difference there. Now, we also have the option where we can turn the unit off and on remotely. So remember, this is all Wi-Fi, and I'm just looking at this from wherever. In this case, I'm inside my rig, so I'm not next to the pole or anything, but I could just turn that off and on. I don't want to do that right now because my AC is running. Over to the right, I have alert history. If I click on that, it shows me all the different issues that we've had on the line. These particular errors was from when we were in Yellowstone National Park. The whole park lost power, and so during that little piece where the power was going up and down and things like that, the Watchdog was shutting us off and recording errors and things, telling us there was some problems. And so it protected our unit without us having to worry anything about it. So I can delete those if I don't want to have them on there anymore. Otherwise, I just back arrow here. On the bottom left here is the settings, so I can set up my name. I have it DP is my diesel pusher, so diesel pusher Watchdog, but I do have the option here to change the backlight. So if you look right now, I'm at the dimmest setting that it allows, and a lot of people complain because it's such a bright light, it just brings attention to the fact that you have one, and so people come by and steal them. Again, you use that cable to lock it up, so you don't have to worry about that, but you can change it to so it's a lot darker, or you can just click on the top right here and you'll get as bright as it goes, and so you can see that really changes quite a bit. So but just leaving it on the lowest setting, dim, works really nice, and you still have visibility in case there's something happening on the pole. It turns red, whatever, you can still see it, so that works out pretty nice. Okay, so I went ahead and turned the air conditioner off, and you can see that our volts has now dropped or raised up to 123 volts, and our amps have dropped down to 1.8 amps, 1.7 amps. So now we don't have the AC running anymore. So I'm going to just show you, if I go to this other screen right now, you can see that we are running on the grid. This is our solar system running right here. We are 209 watts of power that we're pulling from the grid right now. So if I go back over to the WatchDog, and at the bottom of the screen there, that on, I can just turn that off. So I'm just going to shut that off. And then we'll go back over to our Victron here and let that update. So now you'll notice that we are not on grid power anymore. We are running right off of our solar side completely, and that's all that we're getting is just solar power right now to the battery. If I go back over here to the WatchDog, I can turn that back on. So we've turned that back on. You can see that the Power WatchDog is doesn't show the full amps here yet, because I have a auto switch set up in my rig that switches between whether I'm using generator or the pole. And so it takes a second for that to click on. So now it's just clicked over. So now if I go back over to my solar, you'll see that the grid is now coming back up. And so that works pretty slick, that I can just manage that accordingly. So, and the cool thing about that is that I can see whether, you know, when I'm out and about, if I'm having, you know, there's power issues, then, you know, I'd be able to see that when I'm not here. So we are back running off the grid again. So your installation is running on the grid. That is pretty slick. And then of course, here is our app on our phone with our Hughes. So I'm doing all of that remotely, and I'm not even next to the unit. And I could be anywhere on either of those two apps. I can be anywhere as long as I have internet somewhere and my unit back at camp has Wi-Fi. Then we can access it and look at this stuff anytime we want. So a lot of information that is available to you here, and it makes it really nice for being able to take care of your unit. All right, well, that finishes the review of this product. This is the WatchDog. In this particular case, this is the 50 amp version. We also have the 30 amp version. They both work excellent. One of the things I didn't cover is that if something happens to it, so it burns up, you know, the surge portion of it burns up. It's not like the other ones where, you know, something happens and it quits protecting you, and you throw it away and you buy a new one. In this particular case, if that does happen, you just get a hold of Hughes Electronics and you buy a module replacement for like 30-40 bucks. And it's user changeable, so you just open up your unit and you swap out that little module and you've got a brand new surge protector again. So it's not like you have to go buy it all over again. Now, I do have a link in the description below to our Amazon setup. We are an Amazon affiliate, so if you use that link to look at the WatchDogs, and whether you're getting a 30 amp version or a 50 amp version, then we do receive a little bit of a commission off that. So we do appreciate the support and help that you give us for that. So anyway, hopefully this covers everything you needed to know about that. It is a really good unit, and like I said earlier in the video, the very first one I purchased myself. This one WatchDog has provided to me for review, and I'm blown away by all the additions they've added to this version compared to the one that I bought a couple years ago. So they're always upgrading, looking at ways to make it better, and that's pretty cool. So anyway, thanks for coming along with us. Hopefully you found this interesting and can find a value to it. It's a lot better than having to replace anything in your rig. So anyway, we'll plan on hopefully seeing you down the road somewhere, and if not, then maybe on our next video. So you guys take care.